When you think of public education, one of the first things that people usually don't think about is innovation. But fortunately, all it takes is a few people, a good idea, and enough people working together to make that idea happen, and you can do some super cool stuff. Right now, I am in the broadcast studio of my classroom where I teach. The lighting is sort of weird, but I really like the way that this set looks without the lights turned on, so I decided to go with that. I made quite a few videos about this space and the set and how I built it and how I use it to stream to YouTube, but there's more than what happens in this room that's worth streaming, especially when it's the end of the school year and it's graduation season, and not everybody can either make it out or get a ticket to be a part of their students' graduation. So several years ago at my previous school, which was in a different district, we started hiring a company to do live streams of our graduations. And what that company would do is they would get a light stand, kind of like this. They would get a GoPro and put it on top of the light stand, kind of like this. And these light stands go super duper tall, and they would just set up a GoPro like this in the middle of the football stadium where the graduation takes place, and that would be the live stream. It'd be one shot, one camera, and they would mix the audio from the soundboard to this video signal so it had really good audio, and then just this one shot, and then they would stream it out and people could watch it. The thing was though, that company charged us over $5,000 a year to do that. We started doing this in like 2013, 2014, so times were a little different, streaming was different, obviously they handled the whole like setup on the computer end, but realistically, we're paying $5,000 for a GoPro to be set up in the middle of a field for 3 hours. I feel like we could do better. And fortunately, when I came to my current district a couple years ago, I started experimenting with doing our stream through YouTube, and then our district's technology department was also interested in looking how to live stream the graduations. So we came up with an idea that was significantly better than this. What we decided to do was make an investment in equipment that my students and I could keep in our classroom for the school year, and at the end of the school year, that equipment would be used to live stream the high school graduations. With 4 traditional high schools, if we had wanted to do live streams like I just mentioned, it would have cost us $20,000 a year as a district. So what we decided to do was take $20,000 and invest in some equipment, some cameras, switchers, cables, headsets, all the gear we would need to do our own multi-camera, high definition, really good, slick looking live streams. So in that first year to live stream 4 high schools, instead of paying a company, we took that $20,000 and bought equipment. And then we took care of it ourselves. So in a way it was kind of a wash. It cost the same amount it would have anyway. But then the following year we did those same 4 high schools. But we didn't have to pay anything because we now already had the equipment. So in theory we actually saved $20,000. This year, which is now the 3rd year that we've been doing these live streams, in addition to the 4 traditional high schools in our district, we're also doing live streams for the 3 alternative high schools. So that's 7 live streams total, which means this year's live streams, using a traditional company like the ones we dealt with in the past, would have been $35,000. We had the first year of investment and now the 2 years of doing our own live streams. That's $55,000 that we didn't have to spend, and our product is even better. It looks better, it sounds better, and it gives students the opportunity to actually do these things themselves. And kids, of course, rather than a company that's hired, are gonna have a lot more fun and be a lot more interested in doing a live stream for their own school. And the way this really works, so if there's any schools or districts that are kind of like trying to figure this out, the way we do it is mainly through collaborating with our district's technology department. They kind of spearhead the whole thing because there's so many network issues and setup issues, so they're kind of the leaders as far as setting everything up and making sure it's working. And then we have our students come in and actually work the events, and then they can help with the tear down and the cleanup. Of the 4 traditional high schools, my students do 2 of the graduations, and 2 of the other schools each handle their own. And then our district's technology department handles the 3 graduations from the alternative education high schools. So it is still a ton of work. It's not easy. The setup takes hours, the teardown takes hours, sometimes things can go wrong. But fortunately we have a great technology department that knows how to plan ahead, knows how to solve problems, and more importantly is actually interested in doing this. And because they actually care about it and think that it's worth doing, then it gets done better. And so everybody wins. From the district in terms of money, to the technology department getting to be innovative with technology, to me as a teacher getting to be a part of doing something innovative, and then finally to students throughout our entire district who get to be a part of something super cool, which is live streaming their graduations. When I was working with the district and we were trying to figure out what would be best for graduations, we basically took the idea of this setup and just tried to do our best to make it mobile. I don't want to focus too much on specific equipment, but I'll tell you what we use and what works really well. So we basically built the whole broadcast around this switcher right here, which is the BlackMagic Television Studio Pro. And this is a really awesome switcher. There's a software version of it, but the hardware version with these physical buttons is really like, it's kind of key. This can take 8 different inputs, 4 HDMI, 4 SDI, and of course you can get, BlackMagic has converters to convert any kind of signal into any other kind of signal, and we use tons and tons of converters to get all the signals where they need to go. But the whole point is you take all your cameras, and we're using these Canon XA little camcorders, which are great, like the quality is awesome, and we just have those connected via very, very long SDI cables. So that's kind of the first thing. I would recommend getting some sort of camera that has an SDI output. The physical switcher is great because it sends one output signal. That output signal goes through another converter, it's kind of like this, and goes into OBS, and then OBS, which is free software, sends out the stream to YouTube, Facebook, wherever you want to stream. It can handle any platform. And of course, out in the field, we have a monitor that has all these right here. You have all your inputs, and then you have your preview window, which is what's next, and your program window, which is what's currently live. So you kind of know, like, this is what's live, this is what's coming up, and then you cut to it and you bring it up. We also have some wireless headsets, so students can actually be talking. The director can talk to the camera operators and tell them what kind of shots to get, when they're gonna be live, which is kind of a necessity if you're doing a multi-camera live broadcast. But as far as like teaching goes, it's actually an amazing way to build students' communication skills too. For the live streams, we do still hire an outside company that does audio because they set up the whole PA system. And then we just take an output from their board into our switcher. This has 2 XLR inputs. I do think before we go out there that it's worth mentioning that since we did move from a GoPro on a stick to 5 cameras, that the amount of work and communication increased exponentially, because now you have the beginning of the graduation ceremony where you've got speakers. So you have principals and valedictorians and salutatorians and public officials and superintendents giving their talks that the students need to film. You've got performances by bands and choirs, you've got presentations of colors, all kinds of different stuff happening. You've got audience reaction shots, and it's really important that everyone is able to communicate those things really clearly and really effectively to one another. And then when the actual graduation starts, the seniors are getting their diplomas from multiple stages. So you're kind of cutting back and forth, knowing that in the split second it takes for someone to get their thing and smile, that could be the whole reason that somebody's actually watching your live stream, is to see that one specific moment, and so you don't want to miss it. What I can emphasize for anybody in any working environment, whether it's a school or not, is that there are oftentimes opportunities out there to do things that are different and to do things that might be a bit innovative. And sometimes the reason they're not getting done isn't because you're not allowed to do them, it's just because no one's done them yet. And sometimes it can be really simple and obvious, like, hey, $5,000 for this is a bad deal. And other times it might be a little more complicated. But I think the key is always finding new ways to sort of reevaluate why you're doing something and how you might do it differently. And that's not only gonna help you continue to grow, but that's also gonna keep you from getting bored in your career or your job or your life. I always kind of struggle to balance my teaching life with the stuff that I talk about on my channel, but they are really connected in a lot of ways. Since I'm a digital media teacher and my channel focuses so much on digital media, they are really connected. I did put together a whole playlist of like my life as a teacher, and I think it's really cool to see what can be done when you're in a supportive, collaborative, innovative environment. So that's a super cool playlist to check out.